Today we would be talking about the essay The Golden Age. It is written by A.G. Gardiner. And in this essay, A.G. Gardiner is telling you about a golden age. People think there was a golden age, or people hope that there would be a golden age and everybody would be happy. And people have all types of imaginations about a golden age where everything would be well, things would be in their ideal state, and the essayist at the same point of time, at the very onset of this essay, is telling you the measure of personal happiness is fortunately not dependent on external circumstances. Now, he has used the word fortunately. The measure of personal happiness is fortunately not dependent on external circumstances. Now, if had there was any connection between external circumstances and the measure of happiness, then there would have been a possibility that there could be a golden age, or there could be circumstances which would lead to happiness, or there could be circumstances which are existing outside a human personality or a human persona of his being, that existence of happiness can be measured. Now, in a way, A.G. Gardiner has at the onset made it very clear that happiness is personal. It is something which is a matter of personal choice, and it has nothing to do with things which are outside us, things which are there in the world. So, it is our choice to be happy or not to be happy, because being happy is not in the hands or not at the mercy of the world at large. Being happy is somewhere a state of mind, somewhere our own decision. And then he says, most of us are more agreeable people when we have dined than we are hungry, when we have slept well than when we have not slept at all, when a horse or a party has won than when it has lost, when things got right than when things go wrong. So somewhere he's telling you that happiness has nothing to do with food or sleep, or as some philosophers say, it has to do with some blood circulation, or it has to do something with our nervous constitution. Or some people say those couples are happiest couples who have better digestion, or those people are happiest people who live longer in their life. So there are lot many theories about being happy, or how a person could be happy, or who is the happiest one who gets delicious dishes to eat, or one who sleeps, who gets good sleep, or one who is wealthy, who is winning all the time, or one who has a very good health, or one whose digestion is good, or one whose nervous constitution is at the best. So there are various theories, and these various theories are put by A.G. Gardner in a very interesting way, and somewhere by elimination is telling you that all these things do not matter, or they matter less. They are not so important as people think them to be. But at the same point of time, he says it is the mind which makes a heaven or hell of any place. That then again, somewhere he's telling you it is your own mental makeup which makes any place a hell or heaven. When he says the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell or hell of heaven. So even when you are in heaven, and if you are disturbed, you are dissatisfied, you are most of the time complaining, you are cribbing, then it's in your hands to make a heaven of hell, or hell of a heaven means if you are not uh, in a positive positive phase of life, or you are suffering from certain things, or you have certain things which are somewhere bothering you, or you have some issues, or somewhere you feel you are weak, or somewhere you are feel you are denied certain rights, somewhere you feel you are indignant about certain things, and all these things, they can make hell of a heaven. But at the same point of time, if you are peaceful, if you have a balance of mind, and if you are taking things in a right way, in a positive way, maybe you will overcome those difficulties and you will make things right. Then he says there is no question of merit or virtue in the matter. If there is, it is not the meritorious or the virtuous who are usually the most happy. It is they who take life lightly and indifferently who get the most fun out of it. Now this is a very positive approach, and at the same point of time, this is a philosophy to be happy, or we can say this is there is no philosophy at all, and it is simply to live life as it comes, to live lightly and to live indifferently is a very if you take it philosophically, or if you take in the sense of indifference which eastern philosophers have talked about, then it would be a very loaded term. And I would remind my students that A.G. Gardner has used indifferently in the same way as he's used the word lightly. So here lightly and indifferently are somewhere matching terms, and they are not exactly different terms. And then he says, I doubt whether there was ever a more odious monster on earth than Sula. Now he's talking about this myth, and where he was this monster had a hideous disease, and this monster died, and there were lot many people who felt that even when his dead body was buried with the accustomed solemnities, the wind blew and the rain fell in perfect time and sequence, so that, as Plutarch says, his good fortune was firm even to the last, and did at as it did were officiate at his funerals. Now, this is the matter of fortune, or good fortune or bad fortune, is not all that important. And what matters is how you live at a point of time, and how do you behave, or how do you feel at a point of time. Now, again, when he say he gives example, another example, and he says, indeed, if we want to play with the idea of how we might have been happy, it is not the thought of living in other time that will satisfy us, but the thought of living other men's lives. If I had the privilege of dating any birth, I would not bother about the period, but would choose very carefully my personality. Now he says it is not it is if, even if you choose to be someone else, or even if you choose to live in some other period, or in some period which has already passed, it is again a matter of your choice which would make you happy. It is again a matter of your decision which would make you happy. Then he says, even in ancient times, when you want to live, then or you want to write, as Herodotus wrote his immortal works, it's not necessary that you would be happy. Or even if you write in as a modern writer, it is not definite that you would be happy, because no person or no personality or no age can make you happy. You can be happy on your own. There never was a golden age in which happiness was the universal portion, nor one in which it was denied to those who had the gift within. It is a personal affair, not an affair of time, place, or condition. And if we are sad, it is idle to lament that we were not born in days when we could not have been merry. Now he says, he talks of people who are always happy, and then he talks of people who are never happy. Then he gives example of Sancho Panza, who is always happy, and then he gives example of Don Quixote, who is always sorrowful. Thank you.